Hello, and welcome to another interview in our, well, I guess you could call it a triple threat. I don't have a witty name for the fact that I have three interviews today, and this is the second one. So. But anyway, here we have Jordan Fitch. Uh-uh. Hold on for one moment. Let me just mute this real quick. All right. Sorry about that. So
No
here we
problem.
have Jordan Fitch. Jordan, you can introduce yourselves to the people and, just tell them a little bit about what you write, your up and coming novel, which novel you published, and just take the floor.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for setting this up, Josiah. Jordan Fitch. I write thrillers. I have one novel out right now, The Cardinal Line. It's a thriller. I'm sort of inspired by like sort of scientific based thrillers, not like sci-fi, but like a scientific more. And so I read a lot of like Neil Stephenson, Michael Crichton, people like that, who have like a fast paced fun story with good character development, but it also incorporates some sort of scientific principles. My debut novel, The Cardinal Line, definitely falls into that genre. Actually this month is the first anniversary of the release. I released it last November, so it's been a really fun journey, kind of stepping into this world. I've done a number of book signings at local establishments and different author fairs, author festivals, um, you know, uh, wine bars, wine bars, breweries, things like that. So that's always fun, just to sit and have a drink and sell some books and talk to readers. And a couple local book clubs have had the Cardinal Line as their book. So it's another good way to connect to readers is to I was fortunate that they chose my book, and then I get to go and like be part of the club and answer questions. So I really enjoy engaging with readers. So that book is out on my second novel. It's called Name Town. It's currently out to beta readers right now. I'm also querying. So my first novel was self-published. I'm querying this one. We'll see where it goes, but I'm perfectly happy if I end up self-publishing this one as well, just because I know the market. It's extremely difficult and often like a lightning strike luck to get a publisher. But at the same time, there's a lot of advantages of self-publishing, and I really enjoyed that journey. So I'm happy to stick with that as well. I live in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
Washington State. I
Okay.
Yep. I moved here from New York, from the Hudson Valley in New York about a year ago. So kind of
Right.
getting familiar with this area. So both beautiful areas and a lot to offer. And with my family, we do a lot of outdoor stuff, mountain biking, hiking, camping, water sports, travel. So lots of
Yeah.
good things to do. Around there. So kind of exploring this area and doing all that. But yeah, that's a quick rundown. So one book out, one book should be out fairly soon here.
Okay. Do you have like a physical copy of your book, is it The
Of course,
Cardinal
I do.
Line?
I should have it at the ready here.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a lot of authors have like their own book on their wall behind them as
Yeah.
their new backdrop. I haven't done that, but yeah.
Right. Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
the Cardinal
All right, The
Line.
Cardinal Line. I got it right. Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Yep. Uh,
Nice.
so it's a speculative science thriller. It stays in the realm of like scientific plausibility, but there's a couple concepts um, that I use to explore like some new concepts that I use to help tell the story. So again, like Michael Crichton, Neil Stephenson, authors like that I've really enjoyed reading, and I wanted to write something like that with a couple ideas that I had. So that's so that's what I did with the cardinal line.
Okay, got you. So like let's give us one concept of the story that you wanted to like, uh expound upon. Like you say like you wanted to expand upon some concepts
Yeah.
in speculative
Mhm.
science fiction. Like what's one concept that you worked on in the story that you really enjoyed?
Yeah. So one of the concepts that I read about it, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago in some sort of scientific article, and it's always kind of fascinated me. It's the concept of epigenetic inheritance.
Oh, okay.
So the inheritance that we're all used to with DNA, like a DNA coded from parents, gets passed down through generations. That's the common concept. Um, um, but what epigenetic inheritance means, the epigenome is how genes are expressed based on your life experience. So there's evidence um, that things that happen to us during our lives will change how our not just the hard-coded DNA, but how genes are expressed, and that can change like physical characteristics, health, all sorts of stuff, and that can also be passed down through generations. It can be passed down to children. In addition to the hard-coded DNA, how we have lived our lives up to that point can also affect future generations. So it's not just like a cut and
Okay.
copy. So that concept is called epigenetic inheritance, and so
Yeah.
I use that, and kind of it's a fairly new concept that has been studied a little bit, and there's a lot of
Right.
strong evidence for it. But it's kind of new enough that I, as an author, I can kind of take it and run with it. Um, so
Gotcha.
so I
Gotcha.
so my book has to do with a couple main characters in modern times who realize that they have something that's a little bit different, and then as they look into it, they realize that there are people who are looking for them, and for people like them for nefarious reasons. So they have to kind of like explore their own family's history and find out what had happened generations before. At the same time, evading people that are looking to them. It's a fast-paced story,
Gotcha.
but there's
Gotcha.
without giving too much away without spoiling too much. There's something that was done a couple generations before, with like experiments, and then that shows
Ah,
up in a very subtle way in the modern generation. So these
I
two
gotta
modern
guess that.
so these two modern characters are like trying to understand and investigate what happened at the same time evading people that are looking for them. So that's one of the concepts, and then there's a couple other sort of speculative things that I built into it as well. So it was a really fun story to write.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, I have heard of epigenetic inheritance,
Yeah,
and from what I've heard about it, it's mostly environmental. Like it's a evolutionary mechanism that humans develop to adapt to their environments, especially if they're migrated from one place to another and have had to
sure,
adapt to that place over
sure,
generations. Anything over like maybe 2 or 3 generations, and the genes that are expressed begin to change and
right,
they start to deviate from their original ancestors. So
yeah,
that's how, that's pretty much, I wouldn't say it's Darwinian, but that's pretty much like just the natural path of evolution, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That it's how it's expressed, and as far as how quickly those changes can take place. But within the story, there were elements that kind of forced some changes
Right.
it happened fair more quickly, and like even that generation didn't know that the change was successful. It was only a couple generations later where they realized, and the I get I can say what the change was because it happens early in the story. It actually has to do with eyesight. So that's the
Right.
other concept that I explore a little bit. And the main characters, they can see in a very slightly higher wavelength on on the infrared spectrum than the average human, which is also scientifically feasible because there's plenty of other animals who have eyesight like that.
Right.
It kind of there's several different ways that this manifests itself in these main characters, and it's really subtle that they don't even notice it really.
Right.
They just notice that they're like seeing some things that other people aren't. And then, it gets tested, and then they realize that they have this and they start looking into it. Then when they look into it, they sort of stir up a hornet's nest of people who were looking for them based on the original
Okay.
program from generations prior. So
Yeah. Okay. I think I see. I think I kind of see like where your story
yeah,
goes, based on what you're telling me. I could take a guess. Like I play with it a little bit.
sure. Yeah,
So it's about a group of characters that discovered that there's something different or slightly elevated about themselves. In this case,
right,
being eyesight. They
right.
investigate it, and then they find out that some malevolent force is looking for them in order to exploit that ability for whatever their reason is. So now they're investigating what happened, you know, in generations past, and
Yeah,
why this, elevation in eyesight, this ability to see perhaps in the dark, perhaps farther than most people can, perhaps in whatever way they can see. They have to investigate why it's so valuable and what the malevolent force wants to use it for. And then the whole story is about this game of cat and mouse,
yeah.
but it's really taken from a scientific lens, which is which gives it the speculative element. I don't know. How am I doing so far? I'm just,
No, no. I want to hire you to write my blurbs. 'Cause that's pretty good.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
no,
I
that's
mean,
it. Yeah.
I suppose I can do that.
No,
Oh
no,
man,
that's
then maybe
great.
I'll actually write something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, so all right, so we got the Cardinal Line. That's your novel that's been out. So, like, whenever you're at book signings, like, what's a common question that people would ask you about it?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Kind of all over the place. I mean, if people ask what it's about, it's typically what it's about. Which I've got some promo material and posters and stuff that kind of give the blurb on the back, and so I kind of just talk through it. Yeah, and then if people ask what else I have or if I have other works out or kind of like what I read. I mean, the conversations can kind of go anywhere. I'd say the most common question would be, "What's your book about?" I mean, that's what everybody asks, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
that's certainly the most common. But I've had some great conversations about all sorts of stuff. Other authors that people like to read, and just kind of like different elements of stories that people like or don't like, and so it's always interesting because you never know what the readers are going to be looking for or want to know about. So um,
Okay.
yep.
So, like, what's one thing you remember a reader saying that they liked? Like, like, oh, shoot, I didn't, like, oh, you like that part? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you remember any one of those moments?
Cer- Certainly people have talked about how they like how the stories, the like disparate storylines that start out separate come together, um, and like they weren't really sure at the beginning how these stories were going to come together, but then when they did, then they're really intrigued with the plot line, and people who are not familiar with things like epigenetic inheritance or like the wavelengths at which our eyes can see some of the more scientific parts of that. Even if they don't have that background, they felt it was really approachable and they liked the story, and like learned a lot with that. Yeah, people ask like, how do you come up with your ideas? I'm like, I don't know, I just write and they come. So no.
All right. At least that's the cover story.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't know the research and
Um,
the Wikipedia searches and the Google
Yeah, there's
searches.
certainly a lot of research that comes, but like typically it'll be some kernel of something I may have read before or had thought about, and then I start looking into it to make sure I have the research right, and I'll have references from wiki articles or scientific journal articles, something like that, or like um, my next my work in progress, Name Town. It's still like a fast paced thriller, so like the same genre, but it's less science and more history. So it's actually like a small town thriller that has to do with history from the town's founding 200 years before, 2 centuries before. That has kind of come up, and it has to do with more like local politics and sort of how people identify with different groups. And then that manifests itself into a fast-paced story. So this one actually has a kernel of real-world history with a person who was part of a massacre of Native Americans 200 years ago, and then he escaped. And I kind of use his story. I pick up from when he escaped and was never heard from again. Like he ended up in a small place, ended up like founding a town, and then when that history is revealed today, that kind of splinters the town. So, but there's some other dark secrets in the town that have brought the town to an edge. And this is my current book, so I don't really have my blurb at the ready for it yet.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But that's basically the so it's a similar like fast-paced thriller looking into history, where the main characters are trying to figure out, again, what happened in the past and why is the current state the way it is, and why are people, so upset about things that like the main character didn't think would be that big of a problem, but now there's a lot of threats and there's violence, and he's got to kind of get some like find a way to get information while hiding from people who are looking for him. So in a very broad sense, it's like a similar genre, but entirely different story, different context.
Right,
And it's
gotcha.
much less science and more history in this one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I find that when it comes to stories, such as yours, I have to be in a particular mind frame in order to read it. Like it's not typically a genre I would look for. Like it would be something that, it would catch your eye with its subtlety. And, like your cover is deceptively simple, but it has a rich story to it.
Right.
So, and I actually find that to be interesting because like the subtlety with the action aspects of it, the psychological and the what's the word for it? It's like the psychological and environmental actions that take place in each stories, how they juxtapose off each other. And it's kind of like this balancing act. It's like, how do you make it interesting enough to where the person wants to read it to its conclusion, but you don't want to go into the realm of like, superpowers and stuff like that.
Right.
Like how do you keep it interesting enough to where people want to read it, but not
Yeah.
so much to where you just escape reality of something that would be likely to happen. So it's like, how do you like maintain that balance in your stories?
Yeah, that's a great question, and certainly for the Cardinal Line, I was trying to keep it focused on the characters and the action and the story, and the sort of scientifically plausible areas that I pushed a little bit, but kept well short of like what people would consider sci-fi. It's not that, it's like a scientific plausibility, which I like because it kind of keeps it open. If it's like a superhero story or something like that, then people expect the superpowers, and there's a lot of great ways to write those stories. But that's not the type of story that I wanted to write. I wanted to be like you talk about the simple cover. I like to write simply and straightforward, and just focus on what is happening, and not much for embellishments and flourishes. And I keep my language simple. There's a couple big words here and there, but I keep the language simple, and stay away from the adverbs and the adjectives, and just like describe what's happening. And that's a common way to write within thrillers, as opposed to like romance or fantasy or something like that, where you have like more flourishes in how you write. So I like try to keep it sharp and to the point with the writing, and simple. And so I kind of use that to guide, and then but like same for the storyline, that I wanted to keep it modern day, real world, like this could happen, type of thing. And so that's where I keep in mind. And I keep the any of the uh, differences, I keep them like very subtle, just a little bit, with the eyes, it's just like a few wavelengths higher, slightly higher, just so it doesn't come across as like a superpower. It's just like a genetic anomaly that
Right.
does manifest itself in certain ways, but very subtly, just a slight edge in these certain situations where that comes up. So I definitely made a cognizant effort to keep it within the scientifically plausible realm versus sci-fi speculative,
Right. Right.
too far
Right.
beyond that, because that's the type of book that I wanted to write. So it's definitely a balance, and I know I pushed a little bit for the sake of the story, but as an author, I can do that.
Right. 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 Yeah. Just find that I do find it interesting. Like just trying to maintain that. It's like a realm where it's like there's reality, and then it's like okay, then now we're in like science fiction and fantasy,
Yeah,
and then you're trying to keep it within this realm of just like perhaps maybe an augmentation on natural human ability,
right,
but it's something that it's entirely possible that can happen.
right,
Like you can have people who can see farther than most people. You can have
right,
people who can see, on a higher wavelength. You can have these people, it happens every one. There's billions of people. It can
right.
happen every once in a while. And it's just, you know, I don't know, it's just something interesting about it. But it's like a subtle interest. It's not like sensational or, it's not meant to dazzle. It's meant to be thought provoking and to make you think like, what if, you
Yeah,
know? Like,
yeah, yeah, and that's certainly my intention with the type of story that I want to write. I mean, who knows what I'll get to at some point later in my career, but at this point, I want to have like modern day, real world type of stories. And I don't get me wrong, I love reading sci-fi, I love reading fantasy, I read all sorts of stuff. It's probably I'd say probably the only genre that I don't you know look out to read are like romance. I don't read specifically romance. I don't read like cozy. It just doesn't appeal to me. Like the cozy mysteries, cozy type of I like things that challenge what I think about the world, and and what I know. I want to be affected by the book. So that's the type of
right.
books that I like to read, and that's what I try to write as well.
Okay. Nice, nice. Well, I mean, I believe that's all I have. I mean, if you have any questions for me, then you can ask, or you can simply take the floor and just tell people where they can find you on social media and what other types of works that you write. Or if you're just strictly a novelist, then that's fine. But this is just your opportunity to like take the floor and just get your name and your work out there, and don't be afraid to show your book into the camera so people can
Sure.
see it. Don't be afraid to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
This is your
Sure.
interview.
Yeah.
So take the floor as you wish.
I, yeah. Thanks. So really, the Cardinal Line is the only published work I have out there right now. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble, Target. You can find it out anywhere. It's in some bookstores and libraries, but it's mostly ones that I've gotten them into around the southwestern Washington, Portland area. There's some back in like New York's Hudson Valley where I used to live. So it's basically where I have connections. I've gotten them into libraries and bookstores, but besides that, it's Amazon. I do have a TikTok shop, but it's doing weird TikTok stuff, and I don't actually have it linked right now. So I'm trying to get that sorted out. Who knows? TikTok is weird, but um,
All right.
I was selling signed copies with some extra like goodies that came with it through the TikTok shop for a while, and that was really fun. So I'm hoping to get that again, but there's shop issues that I don't even know what they are. But anyway, if that comes up again, I'll let you know. But otherwise, it's on Amazon, and then and Target, Barnes and Noble, Walmart. You can find it about anywhere out there. So and then it's also ebook. I have it through Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have the Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read there as well. So I'm not looking to sales are great, of course, but the more exposure, that's what I'm looking for at this point, is to give readers an opportunity to find my work, and to read it. So if they have Kindle Unlimited, they can read it for free, and that's great. And like same with libraries, you can request it at your local library, and then that's also free for the readers, which is great. So it's pretty much available everywhere. I as I said, with my current book, it's out to beta readers right now, and I also have it out to for querying. So depending on if I do get representation, which is not very likely, it's just the nature of the market, and I'm fine with that, then I'll be self-publishing that one as well. Within the next few months, probably early in 2025. But yeah, I just it's a really exciting world to be part of. A lot of other great writers and great content creators that I've connected with over the last year since I've had published work out there, and it's something that I do have a full-time day job, but this is a pretty good side gig for now, and it's something that I will plan to do the rest of my life. To write and just be part of that community, and something that can carry on for a while. So yeah, it's fun, and it's a lot of challenges. One of the challenges is connecting to readers, and there's a lot of content out there and a lot of distractions. But one thing that I have thought about is that the people say that kind of the book market is saturated just because there's so many writers out there, so many books, but there's also a lot of people who are not readers. So I always encourage people, for people who don't read regularly, I mean, probably at least here in the US, I'd say probably half the population, doesn't read more than one book a year for pleasure. So there's a lot of audience, a lot of potential audience out there. So that's something I always encourage, share books, give books as gifts, turn people who might not read regularly, and see if you can spark that joy in them. And that's one way to get more exposure, is to find people who are maybe not traditionally readers, and just broaden that audience, and that helps us all.
Okay. So where can people find you on social media, should they want to connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook, Jordan Fitch author at Jordan Fitch author. I just want to make sure I have that right. Sorry, that's at Jordan Writes. So and then jordanwrites.net is
Okay.
my webpage, and then Instagram is Jordan Fitch author with the underscores. So I could type that in the chat or something. But if you go to jordanwrites.net, that has all the links. And then TikTok is Jordan Fitch author.
Okay. All right. Well, it was nice having you here, and thanks for doing the interview. And
yeah, thanks for setting this up. This is great, Josiah. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. And I want to ask one more question. Do you happen to write short stories, or know anybody that writes short stories?
I don't. I have in the past, but it's not something I do regularly. I'm sure I've made some connections like through TikTok for people who do, but I don't have their names.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
No, I'm just because there's a new literary magazine on the market.
Okay.
It's called Seven Story Publishing,
Okay.
and now they focus on sci-fi, fantasy,
Okay.
dark fantasy, and horror. And I'm
Fun.
just letting people know that if they have short stories or other works that they want to get out, they
Sure.
can check out that magazine and possibly submit something. And I'm just getting the word out there. For
Nice.
those
Okay.
that have trouble finding places to
Mhm.
get their story out to. So that's just why I asked.
Yeah. That's
Well,
great.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on. And if you need anything from me in the future, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to accommodate.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Josiah. Thanks for this. Have a great day, and we'll connect later.
All right.
All right.